Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video. This is a new segment that I am going to start that I am calling Questions from Comments. Fairly self-explanatory, really. I find myself, so I love the questions. I love the correspondence that we get to have via the comment section in YouTube. And I find myself looking at these comments saying, this is a really cool question. So why not address it in video format? I do this from time to time. I'm going to make it a more regular thing. So I found a question this past week, and I wanted to address it in video format to be able to go into greater depth in my response, because quite frankly, sometimes I just don't feel like typing that much. So here we go. Thank you if you've chosen to subscribe. If you haven't yet, I hope that you'll do so now. There are many ways to support my channel. Those are all in the description. The question, and as a general rule, I don't read your information, so I'm not going to identify the video or the user ID of the person who wrote the comment. That's just how I kind of do things. Jeff, thank you for this. So you are my personal warm-up coach, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that in return. I'm a standard jazz singer and have no success finding a vocal coach. Do you have any help available for technique, breathing? I have the basic ideas, learned long ago, and keep up, I think it would have been kept up, since I've been singing for so long, but I would really appreciate some help. I ask because I notice sometimes when I'm done with a lengthy gig, my voice is irritated. Good sign that either my technique needs brushing up or my allergies are kicking in. But I believe I can always refresh and learn, so would be interested in those kinds of lessons if they're available. First of all, great observations, great work. Keep that up and you will almost certainly remain healthy long into the future and have a wonderful career doing what you do. Now, I'm going to break it down, so I'm going to come back to this again. No success finding a vocal coach. First and foremost, I would suggest checking nats.org, and I'll put a link in the description. Nats.org is the National Association of Teachers of Singing. It is an international organization. There are standards to be met in order to become a full member, which grants you certain privileges and things like that. If you look in their teacher database, which is free to do, you will even find me. I am in that database, as well as loads of other people whom I reference from time to time, teachers that I know and things like that. It's a great organization. One of the things about it is that it is overwhelmingly kind of slanted towards classical teachers. If you're studying classical music, that's no problem. If you're studying popular styles, theater to a lesser extent, like theater, vocalists who mostly specialize in theater will still probably do quite well in nats.org. But if you're doing singer-songwriter stuff, pop rock, things like that, you might have to make a few phone calls or send out a few emails to find a teacher that will do your genres competently. Nats is kind of coming up to speed on this. I know that that topic has been featured in some of their events and it has been spoken about. So that ratio may have changed since I last talked to anyone about it. But know that you might have to make a few phone calls before you get someone that you're happy with and that's going to be familiar with the kind of music that you are singing. You can always send an email to me through my website and I can help you navigate that in your area as much as I'll help as much as I can, and sometimes I know people in different areas that I can point you to too. Carrying on. Do you have any help available for technique? Basically, the overwhelming majority of my videos are about singing technique, and they are derived from Richard Miller's teachings on bel canto singing, which is, of course, the classical technique for singing. but I find to be just as applicable to pop music, so long as we give some consideration to how we are going to ultimately present the music in the long run. Almost all my videos are about technique. Here's the thing. The technique gets broken down into vowel alignment, and then as vowel alignment improves, registration event practice. So vowel alignment is the practice of getting your 5 cardinal vowels to sound the same throughout your range. So you can sing those 5 vowels and get basically the same or really, really remarkably similar tone quality. Your intonation will remain consistent, and in a given range, your volume will be more or less consistent. So here I am in my thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice, which is my chest voice. And there, the representation of those vowels, even if I turned off all of my fancy audio stuff, you would get a fairly dynamically equivalent response across those 5 vowels. This translates into our repertoire, into our songs, by making us more intelligible and giving us more control over how we present that material. So vowel alignment is first. My channel is broken down into warm-up videos, full range warm-up videos, and extended range warm-up videos. The warm-up videos, without any of the other designations, will remain below your secondo passaggio. This is the area to work out your cardinal vowel alignment. Once you've done that, you can work onwards to the full range videos. In those videos, you will be tasked with navigating the secondo passaggio and the vowel modifications and airflow requirements to do that successfully. In the extended range videos, it goes beyond the secondo passaggio and beyond the next registration event. Depending on what school of voice you happen to be studying, that next registration event has a few different titles. Suffice to say that your vowel alignment and your airflow management needs to really be on point in order to make that next registration event successfully. And by successful, I mean consistent tone quality and reliable intonation throughout the various changes across all of those registers. Any of the warm-up videos that you might happen to choose is a technical video. If you watch it and sing along with it from beginning to end, you'll start to see a theme, a way that I'm constructing the response to vowels to help you get a particular vowel in alignment, and then challenge you near the end to sing that vowel without the assistance. For example, there's a 2-part series, E, A, Ah, and U and O. And in those videos, I am working towards E, A, Ah, and A, Ah. The ability to go from A to Ah without the vowel changing character noticeably. This can be quite challenging. And so, if I remember correctly, there's an exercise in that video that sounds like this. A, Ah, E. A, Ah, E. What I'm doing with that is getting you the neighbor vowel to Ah, because typically Ah, a lot of vocalists find Ah very challenging. So the A enables us to get into the Ah vowel reasonably effectively. And the E vowel at the end is there to try to focus our voice, to focus our narrowness down. So we get that feeling of the Ah vowel remaining in the same kind of resonant area that E and A are as well. This results in more seamless vowel transitions. This results in more seamless overall singing throughout our registers and helps us learn the control required for vowel modification as we get into the zona di passaggio, which is the area right below the secondo passaggio, the area right below the break. So we get into that area where minute adjustments to those vowels facilitate, in part, the transition over the break, over the secondo passaggio. So all of this stuff is basically technical practice. I think the next one was breathing. I teach Appoggio breath management. There is a video, a couple videos, on Appoggio technique on the channel, and additionally, there is a diaphragmatic warm-up that I did some time ago, and I kind of want to do another one of these that incorporates some of the Appoggio tester practices into the interstitial spaces between the vocalizations. That's a mouthful of words. Checking out the video would be much more self-explanatory, would be much more explanatory than all that. Suffice to say, you have exercises where you have he, things like that that help you establish good engagement, good Appoggio, and then get to use it in a scale, the idea being that you can continue that Appoggio engagement, that leaning engagement, and get a really, really nice phonation. But here's the thing that, and I've tried to articulate this from time to time on my channel, but indulge me for a moment in a brief reading from the Training Tenor Voices by Richard Miller. I've often mentioned that Appoggio breath management fundamentally changed my technique. And this is the passage from his teachings, Richard Miller's teachings, that got the wheels rolling for me. Before that, I was just trying to do basically what I had always been taught and what you will find very frequently all over the place online, which is stick your stomach out and then suck it back in order to sing. That's supposed to be support somehow, that's where your diaphragm is. And it was this particular little passage that when I read it, I read it over and over and over again because it just didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand what he was trying to say. And it took getting with a teacher who had studied Appoggio and continuing to study on my own before I really understood what was meant by Appoggio and how to practice it. And that's when the vast majority of the benefits of it really changed in my phonation. And I mention all this because I suspect, I mean, it's hard for me to know. I don't know you, but hopefully I can still help you. If you're not practicing Appoggio, or if you think you're practicing Appoggio, gauge it against this. Of course, it is possible to pout out the lower abdomen locally when in this position. And by position, he's meaning the noble posture, this upright singing stance. And so he's saying that when you're standing that way, you can push out your lower abdominal area. But such action has nothing to do with the actual breath cycle. Not my words. By so doing, one is simply pushing in and out the viscera, your guts. You're just moving your guts around when you do that. In fact, when the lower abdominal wall is forced outward, the costal area tends to move inward, thereby inducing more rapid lung volume reduction. So he's talking about the area that's like, when we talk about lateral expansion with Appoggio, let me put this down, we want to be able to be here and expand laterally. And he's saying that when you push this out, that's going to cause this to collapse. The costal area tends to move inward, thereby inducing more rapid lung volume reduction. This proves the fallacy of lower abdominal distension as a viable breath support method for singing. I realize that that tells you more about what not to do. There is an excellent web page done by the vocalist Shirley Emmons, who is no longer with us, some time ago, nothing recent. and I will put a link to that website in the description of this video. It is a one-page sort of primer, if you will, on Appoggio breath management. It is excellent. It is easy to understand language, and I think you will find helpful. This book is out of print, therefore it is ridiculously overpriced. Sometimes you can find them cheaper, but even still, they're usually very, very expensive. The Shirley Emmons website is free, and you can have a look at that. Irritation. Okay, if it's hurting you, if it is causing you to go hoarse or lose your voice, reevaluate the balance of vocal fold engagement, the muscle tension at the vocal fold, and the subglottic air pressure, your airflow or support. Something is not in balance here. Now, this vocalist does mention allergies. Your allergist or doctor, I don't know if they're called allergists, your doctor will have more to say about that. The main thing is that if you are taking a medication for those allergies, it can have some deleterious effects. I know that in general, if I have to take some type of medication, I tend to get a little dehydrated, so you'll want to consider that. Additionally, if you have allergies and you have postnasal drip or things like that, that can certainly irritate your vocal folds and cause some issues. Be very conscious of that. Stay hydrated again. Give yourself a break if you're having an allergy attack. There's little that can be done about that except to try to make sure that you don't do additional damage trying to sing while you already have an irritated vocal fold. That will only prolong the problems that you are encountering. If you are just getting irritation or hoarseness in general, evaluate your breath management, your Appoggio breath management system. Evaluate the amount of engagement you're using at the vocal fold, how much you're doing here. They should be in balance, so when you're singing, it can feel almost as if nothing's occurring, like this is more of a resonant cavity than it is a sort of vibratory surface. At least that's the physical experience that I often have when I'm singing at my most effective. Your description of physical experiences may vary. That is the nature of describing something that you feel. It will feel different for you than it does for me. That is my experience, however. Ultimately, this all comes right back around to Appoggio breath management. If it hurts, if you're going hoarse, stop, evaluate your airflow, evaluate your Appoggio, investigate it a bit more. Maybe it's different than what you originally thought. Maybe you're on point. Maybe it's just allergies. Hard to say. You'll only find out when you ask the questions and investigate it more fully. I do hope this helps. I'm going to try and do these regularly when I find cool questions and cool comments in the YouTube comments. Thank you for watching. My name is Jeff. Take really good care of your voices, enjoy singing, and hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.